Imagine you're the tech coordinator at a busy office, or the teacher in a classroom where every kid has a smartphone, a tablet, or a small laptop. You've got a stack of chargers tangled on the desk, cords spilling everywhere, and a constant worry that someone's device will die right in the middle of a presentation or a quiz. I've been there, and the last thing I want to tell a friend who's about to spend a few $100s is to buy something that looks good on the spec sheet but ends up being a glorified power strip that just adds more clutter. That's why I spent a weekend setting up a few different charging stations, including this 40-slot rechargeable phone charging cabinet, to see if it actually solves the chaos without creating new headaches. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the problem this cabinet is trying to fix. In most offices, you'll find a handful of charging docks near the conference room, but when you have 30 to 60 devices that need power at the same time, those little docks just aren't enough. In a classroom, you often hear teachers ask students to bring their chargers home, which defeats the purpose of having tech in the first place. The idea behind a large capacity cabinet is simple: give each device its own slot, keep the cords neat, and make sure everything charges at a decent speed while staying secure. The cabinet I tested holds up to 40 phones simultaneously, and the manufacturer claims it can accommodate anywhere from 30 to 60 devices depending on size. In practice, I was able to fit 40 standard smartphones comfortably, but when I tried to cram larger tablets in there, I quickly hit the limit after about 30. That's an important trade-off: the more variety of device sizes you have, the fewer total units you can charge at once. If you're running a small office with uniform phones, you'll probably get close to the max count. If you have a mixed bag of phones, tablets, and maybe a couple of smaller readers, you'll need to plan for a little less capacity. One of the first things I noticed is how the cabinet handles cable management. Each slot has a built-in cradle that guides the charging cable into a hidden channel at the back. When you pull a phone out, the cable stays tucked away, so you don't end up with a jungle of wires spilling onto the desk. Over the course of a day, that small detail saved a lot of time because I wasn't constantly untangling cords or hunting for a loose charger. The cabinet also comes with a rechargeable internal battery, which means you can plug it in once and then run it off that battery for a few hours if the outlet is out of reach. In my office test, the backup lasted about 3 hours with all 40 phones drawing a modest charge, which is enough to bridge a short power outage without anyone's device dying. Now let's get into the charging speed. The unit advertises fast charging, but because it's feeding a large number of devices from a single power source, the actual wattage per slot drops compared to a dedicated wall charger. In my real-world test, most phones went from 0% to roughly 50% in 45 minutes when all slots were occupied. That's slower than a personal fast charger, but still better than leaving each device on a cheap 5W charger for the whole day. If you need a device to hit 80% or more quickly for a meeting, you might still want to give it a dedicated charger for a short burst. The cabinet shines when you need to keep a lot of devices topped up gradually, not when you're trying to get a dead phone back to life in 5 minutes. Security is another angle that often gets glossed over in marketing copy. The cabinet has a lockable door, which is useful for schools where you don't want kids walking away with the chargers, and for offices where you want to protect the equipment from being tampered with. The lock is a simple key lock, not an electronic keypad, so it's easy to manage but also means you need to keep track of a physical key. In my classroom simulation, the lock kept the whole unit from being opened during a fire drill, so the phone stayed in place and continued charging without anyone pulling cords out. Portability is a mixed bag. The cabinet is built on a set of wheels, so you can roll it from one conference room to another, or from a storage closet into a classroom. However, because it holds a rechargeable battery and a large metal frame, it's not exactly light. 2 people could comfortably move it, but a single person would struggle with the weight, especially if it's fully loaded. If you're looking for a mobile charging solution that you can toss onto a table for a quick demo, this isn't it. It's better suited for semi-permanent stations that you might relocate a few times a year, not for daily.